Hey, Brittany, here's how I prepare this. So I go ahead and I delete this logo out. Um, I highlight over this, go to Format Cells. I'm going to unmerge the cells. And then I'm going to do the column width. I do 10. And then I get rid of some of these rows. And what I do want to keep, though, is I want to keep the current budget column. And I'm going to put the dollar signs there. And then I'm going to want to do the period activity. Now, even though we did the percent used format, I don't keep that here. Obviously, Excel can easily figure that out for us. And I'm sorry, I want the fiscal activity. So the period is for August. The fiscal activity is for July and August, which is what we're doing the report for. So I want that. I can delete this. You know me, I like my little number signs here. And to insert a row there. And this is where, so I'm going to do budget activity. And then I'm going to do, this just makes it easier for me to find things. Row height, I like to do 16, give me some room. And I'm going to call this string. I'm going to call this name, fund. Or actually, I like to use the term object. It's just a little habit I have. Other things I like to do, a little quirky here, sorry. I like to get rid of the borders. I like to get rid of the underlines. And then I like all my text black. And I like everything to be Calibri. And I like everything to be 10. Okay. So now we can go ahead and put in our little formula here. So again, the left 3, oops. And equals mid, this 5, 4. Then I just fill these down. Voila. Then I could go ahead and get rid of this, get rid of this bold. And I do my little filter. And first thing I do is I filter by total, smallest to largest. And I like to get rid of all these. Oh, actually, I don't want to get rid of these because there's budgetary amounts there. So let's go ahead and sort by fund. And then we'll get rid of the other things. Now for this budget report, I'll show you this in a second. Let me get down here. So anything under here, I could go ahead and delete. These were totals. Oops. So anything under the 330, I could go ahead and delete. And the other thing I do is because I'm going to consolidate all the grant funds together, I just change them to 300. And I put a little text in front of it. And I just copy this down. And then that makes it work really well. So I'm going to pause here, and then I'm going to pull up the other worksheet where I'm going to copy page 1 into. Okay, so here's that template worksheet. And as you can see, I got the general fund, the capital improvement fund, the grants fund. The purple items are what I want to copy into the board report. This is the format. I mean, it would be much simpler if they asked for things in different categories, but they specifically want to see personnel costs. They want to see library costs. They want to see building and utilities, and then they want to see other M&S and capital outlay. So that's what they want. That's what we're going to give them. Now, this is where once you learn how to do cell sense, I'm sure there's an easier way to set up this report. Obviously, it would have been great if going into the implementation of Encode, they communicated that this is how the board likes to do the reports, and then we could have grouped these numbers. They're just not grouped in that order. So there's like a little bit of give and take. Like you can see this 6140 after going 6090, it's just not ideal right now. But what we're really looking at here is I've set it up where this is the columns, and then I go back to that export you gave me, and that would be this one. And as you can see, scroll up to the top here. These are in slightly different order, so I just need to cut this and insert here. And then I could just copy this into page 1. And again, this is the budget. This is the activity. The other thing I like to do is I just like to sort by object codes. One of the things I set up is revenues 4,000. So here's all the revenue. 4990 is transfer in. And then the 5,000s are payroll. And then when we get down to the 6,000, we have our expenses. And what I'm going to do is just copy. And as you can see, I'm going to row 493. I'm going to hit copy. And then I'm going to pull up my update worksheet, page 1. And I'm going to paste the values. And this is what we have so far. Now, the big thing is, so I'm copying over. I've got 493 rows. When I get into these formulas, I actually have to make sure my formulas go to 493. And this is where, when I ran this in July, we had a lot less activity. Now we're using more accounts. So you see this is only going to 350. So it's missing some transactions. So what I'm going to do is my little trick here is to hit find and select, and I'm going to replace $350 with $493. I'm going to hit replace. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to just copy that to all my formulas. And there might be a quicker way that to do this, but this works for me. And you can see the contingency. I don't build the contingency into the accounting system, but we do have a 500,000 contingency in our budget. So I like to go ahead and add it there. And then what you're going to do is you're going to look at the total amounts here. So, and make sure things are correct. So this is where I've got a little bit of an issue here. Oops. It didn't, 493. Sorry about that. It doesn't look like it copied my formulas properly. Don't know why it's not catching library materials, so I'm going to pause and fix that issue. Okay, sorry, found the issue. It was that I didn't change the 493 on that one. For some reason, I must have missed copying that. Sorry that I missed that. But the quick double check is you can look at this. You can look at the revenue in the budget document. And I happen to know that 8088 is for personnel. That's the total material and services. I have 0 capital outlay budgeted in the general fund and 500,000 in the in there. Or actually, I take that back. I do have capital outlay in the general fund, and it looks like I forgot to do this right here. So let's go ahead and find and replace, and there's my 600,000. And then I also have a need to replace that. I've got a 50,000 transfer out to other funds, to the capital improvement fund. And there was a reason for that. So now this is all adding up, and there's the 808, there's the 600,000 for capital outlay, the 550,000 other, and this matches up to the budget document. And we're all good there. And then this, if I copied all my formulas correctly, I got the 493 here, the 493 here, the 493 here. Hopefully this activity matches up, and we'll go ahead and we'll do a double check on that. But basically, this is where you can go ahead and see the percent used on this. And I'll just copy this formula, copy, paste, FX. And this is where we are compared to the budget. So we're at 1% of the budget on revenue. We're at 12% on personnel. We're at 8% on personnel. And then I like to do, well, it's 2 divided by 12. So we should be at 16.6%. So the fact that we're only at 12% means that, there's 4% on the table that we could have used for personnel to stay within line, which is kind of exactly what I projected. So I'm feeling good about how we're looking in the first 2 months so far. And then the only other thing we're going to do is I'm going to complete this for the capital improvement fund and the grants fund. And again, remember, for the grants fund, we're just consolidating all the 300 numbers. So that's why I changed 325 to 300, 330 to 300, because they're all grant funds. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now, and then I'll get back to you. Okay, so here's the summary template that I've created. I actually used to have for the general fund where I would show the budget, I would show the actual year to date and the actual for just the month. Right now, I'm going to refrain from showing monthly activity and just show year to date in the actual. But if you want to go ahead and add a column, you can add a column for that. And all I'm doing is taking the sum totals from the budget update worksheet. So I'm going to just transcribe these numbers into here. So I'm going to use my second screen. Sorry, you can't see 2 of my screens at the same time. But the budget for beginning fund balance was, we thought we were going to have 8.90 million. And remember, I said I was slightly off. we actually, looks like we're going to end up the year with 882,519, and we still might have to update this number when we do the final closeout. And I'm going to just go ahead and transcribe this in, but basically, just so you know, one more time, I'm basically just pulling in from these purple highlighted things. And, unfortunately, I have budget on one side, year to date on the other side, compared to the spreadsheet. You can clean that up if you so choose to do that. So I'm going to pause recording. Okay, so I filled everything in. So moving forward, you shouldn't have to change the budget unless you do a budget modification. And you're going to just be changing the actuals each month and the percent of the year each month with the updated reports. But I just transcribed in the general fund, capital improvement fund, the grants fund, and then I just have this little summary, all funds summary. And this just looks at year-to-date revenue minus year-to-date expenses. Again, no need to worry here because property taxes don't come in a straight line monthly basis. You're going to get a big boom in November and December. And it'll be fun for you. So I look forward to you having good times with that. But really the big one to look at is the year-to-date revenue and expenses in the grants funds. I always try to keep those close to balanced. But in some cases, there's going to be things like this particular year where you received revenue. It's going to hit in September. But you're going to have the revenue from the grant fund, the deposit from one of the grants that you received last year from the foundation, and hopefully that will show up here. And actually a little interested in why that's not showing up on the report that you gave me, because I thought we posted that revenue in August for the deposit. So that's one more thing to check, but that becomes a story for another day. This is what I do prepare for the board. Again, I give them the disclaimer that, this is just an interim report. We've reconciled the bank accounts, we've posted payroll, but there's still going to be transactions coming in, late transactions for the month. So these numbers will change over time. Anyway, any questions, just let me know.